Good morning. Today I'm going to be reviewing the DIY Watch Club Watchmaking Toolkit. So this is the toolkit for this watch, which is their black bezel NH35 dive watch with date, reference number DWC-D01A. So the watchmaking kit for this watch is available from DIYWatch.club for $295 including shipping via DHL. And I'm very pleased to report that the shipping was very fast. I ordered this watch and it arrived from Hong Kong to Ireland in only 5 working days, so that's very impressive. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watchmaking toolkit comes in, and then I'll talk you through the watch components and the tools one gets in the kit. So DIY Watch Club are based in Hong Kong, and they supply this watchmaking toolkit in a cardboard box, as you can see. The cardboard watch box is protected in shipping by bubble wrap, it's fully wrapped, and then also the bubble wrap is then wrapped again with a DHL shipping envelope, so very well protected in transit, no danger of being damaged whatsoever. One opens the lid and inside is a wallet which the toolkit comes in. So I'll open the toolkit and then I'll talk you through all the items one gets with it. So very nicely presented, fully upholstered with fabric, DIY Watch Club on the front, has a metal zip all the way around, and on the top of the wallet it has a handle, so it's very convenient for carrying the kit. So one unzips the metal zip, which is very well executed, and opens the toolkit wallet. So very well presented. Each of the compartments has a metal popper to keep the contents secure. The tools are secured by elasticated straps, and each of the components to the watch, such as the watch case itself, come in these cardboard boxes, so very well presented. Inside these cardboard boxes they also have foam pieces to protect the components from any damage in shipping. So I've emptied all of these boxes out, but I just wanted to show you the presentation. This tool panel is secured by Velcro, so one can lift it up to easily remove the tools. So just very well presented, very well executed. I like the presentation and the quality, the metal zip rather than plastic, and also the fact that all the compartments have metal poppers. So the first thing one does is remove these 2 cards from the watchmaking kit, and on the reverse of these cards it has the QR code for the instruction videos. So you use your iPhone or Android phone to scan the QR code, and that downloads the instruction video of how to assemble the watch. So one is in English and the other one is in Chinese, it's in Mandarin. So it's good because it covers Chinese speakers and also it covers English speakers with the QR code and instructions. So after scanning the QR code and downloading the instruction videos, you take out this vinyl mat and you put this on your desk or table, and it's nice to have this protective mat to prevent you scratching any of the components on the desktop, and it's nicely embossed with DIY Watch Club. So you use that work mat. Now this is the base watch. I'll talk you through the specifications of this and then I'll talk you through the tools and components you get with the kit. So stainless steel 316L grade, and it's 41mm case diameter, 48mm lug to lug measurement. It has a 13.6mm thickness and it has a lug width of 22mm, so nice proportions for a dive watch. 41mm, 13.6 thick, and also 48mm. Now you'll know from my previous reviews I regard 48mm to be the sweet spot because it will fit collectors with all wrist sizes, 6 to 7 inches respectively, and also larger wrists 7 to 8 inches respectively. Nice curved profile to the underside of the case, so it's going to wrap around the wrist very well, and brushed satin finish to the tops of the lugs, the flanks of the case. The underside has a screw down exhibition case back, solid stainless steel. The centre section is glazed with mineral crystal in the front of the case, and I really like the execution of the engraving and the concentric brushed satin finish of the case back. It really does complement it. Contrasting finish to the underside of the case, it's mirror polished to a flawless finish, and on all 4 lugs we have these large bezels machined which are also mirror polished to complement the mirror polishing on the underside. So very nicely executed case, and I think it's a credit to DIY Watch Club. They haven't just copied the default option of a Submariner homage case. They could have copied the 40mm or the 41mm super case, and simply made a Submariner homage watch, but this is their own design, and I really like the case shape with those sloping lugs and the large bevels. It gives the piece a vintage aesthetic. Solid stainless steel screw down crown, coin edge finish, signed with the D for DIY Watch Club. I'm just going to unscrew it and see what the crown action is like when one unscrews the crown. So the crown winding stem is already pre-cut to length, as you can see, and the solid stainless steel crown is attached to the crown tube already, so that makes fitting it to the movement easy. And I have to say, it's silky smooth. The execution of the internal thread of the solid stainless steel crown and the external thread of the stainless steel crown tube are silky smooth. Very nice to use both in unscrewing and screwing it in. So I'm confident that this solid stainless steel crown would provide an effective hermetic seal to 200 meters of water resistance, and also the screw down case back would provide a second effective hermetic seal to 200 meters. So I'm just going to unscrew it and have a look at the threads. As you can see, the case has an internal thread and the plastic chapter ring is already fitted, and the threading looks very nicely done. I'm just going to have a look at the threading of the exhibition caseback. Nicely finished interior to the screw down exhibition caseback. The mineral crystal is sealed with an O-ring. Nice threading. Very nicely machined. I'm very impressed with the quality of the screw down exhibition caseback. It certainly unscrews very well. It's got a nice silky smooth feel to the screw down exhibition caseback. The interface between the case and the caseback threads are very smooth. There's no resistance. They don't feel gritty. So they've done a very good job. Both the crown tube, the crown threading, and also the caseback threading and the case thread, they're done very well. I really like the feeling of them. It's an indication of quality. So nicely finished case. The solid stainless steel bezel has a knurled finish, and again I think they deserve due credit for not just copying a Submariner bezel design, or alternatively using a coin edge finish bezel, which is the other popular option. Knurled finish means that it's very grippy. So it's a 60 click unidirectional bezel, and I'm pleased to report there's minimal backlash. It's actually a very nice positive feel to the clicks. And it's a light bezel action. I would describe it as similar to a Seiko bezel action on an SKX 007, for example, but it's got no backplay. Very nicely executed ratcheting mechanism. So I like it. I'm impressed with the quality of the construction of the case back, the crown, and the bezel action. Mineral crystal, one could say that it would be better if it had sapphire, but one has to factor in the cost of production. So I think it's acceptable to use a screw down caseback, exhibition caseback glazed with mineral crystal, and mineral crystal on the front of the case. So that's the base of the watch. Now, the watch comes with this elasticated strap. It's a Marine Nationale style strap. As you can see, stainless steel hardware, laser engraved with a D, which matches the signed crown. And I like the stainless steel hardware. The keepers are stainless steel rather than being plated metal. Good quality fabric, nice firm resistance to the elastication. And these kind of straps are incredibly comfortable to wear for long periods of time, because they expand with the wrist. So in hot weather, if you're active playing sports and your wrist expands, heats up, the the elasticated lycra in the strap, it allows them to expand, so you don't have to keep adjusting the strap length. I think they're a good alternative to NATO straps, and the finishing on the hardware is very nice. Brushed satin finish, and it's done to a very high standard. Nice thick gauge of stainless steel. It's not going to bend or break. So I think it's a credit to them that they haven't cut any corners. The strap is a good choice for a dive piece. So with regards to the other items you get in the kit, one also gets this plastic hinged holder. This is for your iPhone or Android phone, so that you can prop the phone sideways and view the screen watching the video after you've scanned the QR code. So that's a nice touch to get the phone holder, which you can also use to watch videos on your iPhone afterwards. So practical thing to have. One also gets this loop, which has 5 times magnification, and you can use this loop, for example, when you're setting the hands on the cannon pinion of the movements. So very useful to use that, because it's hard to see the cannon pinion and hands when setting them, and the 5 times magnification does make it a lot easier. So one also gets the movement, and I'm pleased to report that they've chosen a very credible movement. This is the Seiko NH35A. As you can see, it has a date wheel, it has the date complication, and very nice automatic movement. Reliable, well proven workhorse movement, made in Japan rather than Malaysia. And I'll talk you through the specifications of the movements. The Seiko NH35A has 24 joules. It has a beat rate of 21,600 vibrations per hour and runs at the frequency of 3 Hz, which is the standard for Seiko movements. 40-hour power reserve, hand winding and hacking, and the stated accuracy is -20 seconds to +40 seconds per day. Now that's quite a wide accuracy range for the movement, -20 to +40, but in real terms they're often regulated to within ±15 seconds per day or even better. So good movement. I like the fact they've chosen a quality Seiko Japanese made movement rather than opting for a cost cutting measure like a Chinese made movement. Good solid movement, so I like that. So with regards to other items, one also gets 2 handsets, and the hands are loomed with C3 Luminova to match the dial. As you can see, there are 2 arrowhead hour hands. We have baton style pointed minute hands, and then we also have a second hand which has a loomed triangle counterbalance. And it's good that they've included 2 sets of hands, because if you're not familiar with watch modding or watch making, it can be difficult to set the hands by hand on the Canon pinion, and there's a risk of damage if you're not used to doing it. So it's good that they've given 2 sets of hands, so if you make if you damage one set, you can also start again and have another go. So I really like that you've got 2 sets of hands to use. So with regards to the other items, one also gets this very nice Bergen Swiss-made dial protector. So you put this dial protector around the Canon pinion. The slot is for the Canon pinion of the movement. You slide it around the Canon pinion and then set the hands. And the dial protector works very well because it protects you from scuffing or scratching the painted dial, and very easy to remove from the Canon pinion after you've set the hands. You also get a bezel. Now I looked into this, I thought it was aluminium, but it's actually made from steel, and I think that's a good choice because stainless steel is harder than aluminium and therefore tougher, more scratch resistant. It's fully loomed. It's got an Omega Planet Ocean style because it's got a silver center section, and the font of the Arabic numerals reminds me of an Omega Planet Ocean. Loomed triangle and loomed Arabic numerals and minute ticks. Very nicely executed. I like the finish of it, and I like the fact they've chosen stainless steel rather than aluminium, and it's nice to get a loomed bezel insert. They've also applied a 3M self-adhesive ring which you peel the backing off to stick it to the stainless steel bezel, so it's very nicely made and well presented. I like the execution of it. Very aesthetically pleasing matte black finish to it. We'll also get some Rodico Putty. This is very useful for cleaning up the dial, any fingerprints off the inside of the crystal or the dial, and it's also useful for picking up the hands. I use Rodico Putty myself. If you're picking up the hands, you just press the Rodico Putty on the hand, lift it up, and then you can set it on the Canon pinion and press it down with the tool. Very useful to get that. We'll also get 2 pairs of quick release spring bars, which is nice, so you've got a spare set. One also gets this hand setting tool. Now this has a scale on it on the other side, and that's for measuring the height of the hands on the Canon pinion, so you can check the clearance between the hour hand, the minute hand and the second hand. The order of the stack when setting the hands is you press on the hour hand first onto the Canon pinion, then the minute hand, then the second hand. That's the stack. And one also gets these 2 pieces of microfiber polishing cloth, which is good for removing any fingerprints or any marks from the inside of the crystal, for example. Another thing you get, very comprehensive toolkit, I'm very impressed with all these items, is this blower. So very good for blowing off dust or lint from the inside of the case, the crystal or the dial and hands before assembling the case. Case back removal tool, which is adjustable, and I really like this style of case back removal tool because they're easy to adjust the 2 pins. Good positive fit when the pins slot into the case back, and you can get a good grip between one's index finger and thumb, twisting the case back to tighten it up steadily. So These are one of my favourite styles of case back removal tool. Very nice tool to have for removing case backs. I just think it's good to get that included. One also gets this very useful tool, which is a case back knife, and this is useful for removing bezels and also for removing pressed on case backs rather than screw on case backs. And I'll just give you a tip: if you're using one of these, wrap it in a piece of plastic such as a Ziploc bag, and that protects the blade from digging into the case or the underside of a bezel, for example, and it's still sharp enough with the blade to get purchase underneath a pressed on case back, but wrap it in a plastic bag and that protects it from any damage. So nicely executed case back knife. One also gets some finger cots, as you can see, which are what watchmakers use when they're assembling watches. The black ones are for the index fingers, they're smaller. The amber coloured ones are for the thumbs, so they're larger. So it's nice to get 3 sets. And one also gets the dial, which is wrapped in tissue paper to prevent it from getting scratched. So very nicely executed dial, as you can see. The dial is lumed with C3 Luminova, which matches the hands. Nicely white framed date window, and it's just a very nicely executed matte black dial. And I like the shape of the painted indices of those C3 Luminova indices. Very nicely executed. Now, the thing I like about it is they haven't copied the Submariner dial layout and made it into a Submariner homage. They've come up with their own dial design. This isn't a copy of any other watch brand, and I think that DIY Watch Club really deserve credit for that, rather than just making another generic Submariner copy. So, let's do a Lume test, because I want to actually see how the dial performs when it's fully charged up. I want to see what the C3 Luminova looks like. So I'm going to use my 100 LED UV torch and charge up the dial to its absolute maximum performance. Now I'll do the same thing with the hands, and I'll also do the same thing with the bezel inserts, just to see how good the Lume is. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see, it has not disappointed. I love the green tone of C3 Luminova. It reminds me of tritium lume, which is now obsolete due to its radioactivity, but it really does give it that vintage look, that green lume, and it's glowing very brightly. Nice large lume plots on the dial. Those painted indices are large, and good thick application of C3 Luminova. I really like it. It's aesthetically pleasing, good symmetry to the dial. It's glowing brightly, and it's continuing to glow for a good length of time. So I'm very impressed with the quality of the dial. Let's do the same with the bezel insert, which is lumed. Now, interesting choice. They've used Japanese super lume on the stainless steel bezel, and we'll charge it up to its absolute maximum. That's now fully charged, and again it has not disappointed. I'm very impressed with the quality of the lume on this. It's glowing very brightly, and it's continuing to glow for a good length of time. I like the use of a lumed triangle at 12 o'clock rather than a lume pip, which is the more conventional option. Nice large minute ticks in the first quarter indexing the bezel insert. Large Arabic numerals, fully lumed, and it's glowing very well. So it contrasts with the green lume on the dial, but I like the fact that the blue lume is glowing very brightly on the stainless steel bezel. Very good that they didn't use any cost-cutting measures like just using white paint, for example. I think this is a very nicely executed bezel insert. So lastly, let's test out the handsets. So I'm going to leave these wrapped in plastic, but I'm going to charge them up fully, and we'll see how they perform. So interesting choice of lume. C3 Luminova on the dial and hands, and we've got Japanese super lume on the stainless steel bezel insert. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see, that lume is just incredible. I would actually describe it as being close to Seiko Lumibright. It's very impressive C3 Luminova. It's glowing very brightly. So you can see the arrowhead shape of the hour hands, the baton style minute hands, and then the triangles you're looking at are the counterbalances on the second hands. So very good performance. They're glowing brightly, and they're glowing for a good length of time. So very, very good lume. I'm very surprised by that. So I think it's very impressive. So lastly, I'll just talk you through the remaining items you get in the toolkit. This is a very useful tool for picking up objects. Needlepoint tweezers. These are stainless steel. They're finished to a very high standard. Anti-magnetic. They're stainless steel and just very nice features. I've actually got the same set of these myself, and I can confirm that they're an absolute pleasure to use for picking up small items. The needle points are ground to a precision point and just very nicely executed, so I'm pleased that they've included those. One also gets a flat bladed screwdriver, and it has a rotating head. I like this style of jeweler's screwdriver because you can put the rotating head in the palm of your hand, and then when you grip the screwdriver with your index finger and thumb, you can slowly rotate it due to the end of it sitting in the palm of the hand. So very nicely executed jeweler's screwdriver. One also gets two of these. These are hand removal tools, nicely knurled aluminium body which is anodized, and I'll just get the camera to focus. Use these like pry bars. They pry the hands off the cannon pinion. So there's a pair of these. Now if you make a mistake in setting the hands on the cannon pinion, you can simply use this hand removal tool, the pair of them, to prise back up the hands off the cannon pinion. They're an absolute pleasure to use. They're very effective. One also gets this hand setting tool. So there are two plastic holes. Just bear with me, I'll get the camera to focus on it. So this is for the minute hand and the second hand, and the other end is for the hour hand. So different size holes, one's black and one's white, so you can't mix them up. And I've used these myself. They're very easy to press on hour, minute and then second hands onto the cannon pinion using the nylon plastic ends in these hand setting tools. One really can't go wrong because you can actually slide the end of the tool over the cannon pinion and press down the hand. So very well executed. The quality of the finishing is very good. Nice knurled finish to the steel body of it, so it's easy to grip. And lastly, one also gets this wooden piece of dowel. Now this wooden dowel is very useful for moving items around without scratching them, because it's not metal, it's not going to scuff or scratch the dial, for example. It's not going to damage the rotor if you use it to move it around on the movement. So it's nice to have that. It's actually a very useful thing to have if you're into watchmaking or watch modding. A dowel, also useful for pressing things. So lastly, I'll surmise the watchmaking kit. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet two criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. So the respective price point of this watch and watchmaking kit is $295 including shipping. So yes, I consider it to be excellent quality, and yes, I consider it to be excellent value at the respective price point. I'm very impressed with the build quality, the finishing and the quality control of all the components of the watch. In particular, I like the screw down exhibition case back and also the screw down crown. The threads are silky smooth. I also like the bezel action, as I've discussed. Nice positive clicks but minimal back play, so it's very well executed. So I think it's a good watch overall, and I think the novelty factor of having a watchmaking kit is also very interesting. Very satisfying thing to do, to build one's own watch, because afterwards when one's wearing it on the wrist, one can say, I made this. And it's also a talking point for other collectors. You can show your watch to other collectors and say, I made this, I assembled it myself. And it serves an educational purpose, because if you're unfamiliar with the construction of dive watches, by assembling the watch and seeing all the components, you can see how it fits together. So it does actually educate oneself on the construction and the design of watches, how they're actually made, how the components fit together, and how it all works. So I like it. I think this would make an ideal gift for a watch collector, and I also think it would be a good learning process if you're someone who likes watches but don't understand how they actually work together. Things like the crown, the winding stem fit into the movement, for example, and how to fit the dial to the movement and press the hands on the cannon pinion. All of that is a very interesting learning experience. Now, with regards to the functionality of everything, they have prepared everything for you. Even the bezel insert already has the 3M self-adhesive backing on it, so it's very easy to place it onto the bezel, as you can see, and align it at 12 o'clock so that the 12 o'clock triangle will align with the 12 o'clock index on the dial. And it's very well thought through. They've thought of all the tools you could possibly need to put the watch together with the minimal amount of effort, and it's really designed for an amateur rather than a professional watchmaker. All the tools are well made and satisfactory, and last of all, I think it's good because after assembling the watch you still get the tools which you can use for watch modding if you're interested in that. So yes, I think at $295 it's a good watch, and it's also a good watchmaking kit. The tools are of good quality. So I'm going to highly recommend it to you for your consideration. Lastly, I'm going to do a giveaway for this watch and watchmaking kit. To enter the giveaway, I want you to answer the following question and post your answer in the comments section below the video. Which movement is used in this watch? So I'll pick a winner next week and I will announce it in the comments section of the video. I hope you've enjoyed my review of the DIY Watch Club watchmaking kit for the DWC-D01A. Please feel free to post your comments and the answer to the giveaway in the comments section. Thank you very much.